What we're going to be doing today is we're going to be breaking down my games. I've recorded all of them, so we're going to be casting over them. But what's really cool about this is we're going to be able to like pause it and break it down turn by turn. So you guys can see just how I came to like, play the games that I played. And we'll update the record every single time. Yeah, we're not using Groudon. We're not using Groudon today. We're using Zekrom. We are using Zekrom. I guess I'll show you guys my team if you guys want to see it. If you guys want to see the team, you guys are going to get to see it anyways. This is not the team. This is the team we streamed with the other day. The team that we're playing with is right here. So we're playing with this team. That's our Players' Cup team right there. So you can see it's Charizard, Whimsicott, Zekrom, Comfey, Bronzong, Entei. What a cool team. People sleep on Bronzong. Bronzong is like by far and away one of the best Pokemon in any restricted format. Yuto, how's it going? I have no idea why people don't use Bronzong. If you look back at any other restricted format, Bronzong is like amazing. And I will say, eventually, all this stuff's going to make it onto Patreon. There'll be a rental code for this. Yo, is that Joe gifting a sub? 5 tier 1 subs. We haven't even started playing the games yet. Joe's gifting 5 tier 1 subs. Oh my gosh. I can tell today's going to be a good day, I think. Oh my gosh. I'm excited. We're not bringing Butterfree. I decided I wanted to win this time. But Joe, thank you so much. Like I said, holy moly, that's a lot of subs. I really do appreciate that. Everyone, be sure to say thank you to Joe if you got gifted a sub. I really do appreciate that. This is all going to make to Patreon as well as a bunch of like different stages of how I built the team. This team wasn't just these 6 months. I'm going to be going over like the course of next week, going a bunch of different stuff. This is like the 6th or 7th iteration of this team. And I want to show you guys the team building process that I actually put through to come up with this team, all the EV spreads. This team's like super in-depth. There's a bunch of cool things going on. It went through so many different versions. Like there was a beat-up Justified Arcanine version of this team that was really good. And we're going to be doing all that stuff as well. Yamper, thank you so much for the sub with Prime. You can do that anywhere on Twitch, so I really do appreciate you actually using it here. So thank you so much. Hopefully you're excited to see some games. Yeah, Bronzong is super slept on. Super slept on. Like, holy moly. Like, Bronzong's actually one of the coolest Pokemon in this format. And if we look at Bronzong, like, Bronzong has that Psychic Steel typing. It really, really covers up for Zekrom's weaknesses. Zekrom's weak against Ground, Dragon, and Fairy. The 3 things that Bronzong resists. What's Levitate Bronzong weak against? Fire? The thing that we resist with our Zekrom. It's pretty nice. All right, so yeah, we're just gonna go briefly over the Pokemon that I'm using today, and then we're gonna break down all of my games turn by turn for the most part. We might not get to all of them today, and we'll see how it goes. So the first Pokemon we actually want to break down is this Charizard. I actually really, really like this Charizard set. It took me a long time to get this EV spread that I wanted, but I'm sure you guys can actually see that this Charizard is a little bit different from how most people would play Charizard. In that, hold on, let me read this. I was getting on my bus on my way home from work. Can't stick around long, but wanted to share some gifted subs. Thank you so much for the support, my friend. Keep up the amazing work, my guy. This will definitely be there for you when you get back. Reshiram is so good for Zekrom. I actually tested both Reshiram and Palkia instead of the Zekrom slot, but Zekrom was the one that performed the best. But you can see one thing about this Charizard that's kind of weird is that we aren't using solar power. So we're using a modest Charizard. And Rage Pito asked if it's bulky. That's an understatement. We are so bulky. We are Blaze G-Max Charizard. And we are, because we don't want to take solar power damage. We are made to be more of a wall. And really the helping hand there was actually originally Will-O-Wisp. But is so thick. And it actually gets a lot of damage rolls off of the Blaze, which gives it a 1.5, which means you don't actually ever need full investment. So it's like really, really, really good. So I really, really do like this Charizard. Why Blaze? Because we don't want to take the damage from solar power. Like, fighting Groudon is more about just not dying to resisted moves. I don't want to just switch in while the sun's up and take solar power damage. I'd much rather just have my Charizard be the way it is and have them respect the ability of like potentially going for solar power. Bulk Blaze Dart. It's really, really nice. I wish this thing got Roost. I would definitely use Roost. Next Pokemon we're looking at is Whimsicott. It's the eject button set we've actually been featuring quite recently. Pretty good set. But it has Encore. Encore Tailwind, Switcheroo, Dazzling Gleam. And it works really, really well. So it gives this team a little bit of a Tailwind option. And I really like the fact that, like, Urshifu can give us a lot of problems. So, like, D-Gleam's really good for, cleaning those things up. Zard gets Helping Hand. Yep, we're using Helping Hand Zard. It's very, very good. You'd be surprised the amount of times that, like, you need a little bit of a +1, and once you get it, you win. Yeah, everyone forgets Blaze. They're like, why is your Charizard so bulky? And then, like, why is this Charizard, like, one-shotting my Dynamax Thundurus? It's crazy. Like, we soak... Also, this Charizard... Oh, not Entei. This Charizard's holding a Walk-in Berry. So, like, we just soak, like, Regieleki, Thundurus, anything, we're not dead. We're totally fine. Walk-in Berry, very good. Next up is Zekrom. So look how bulky this thing is. Look how bulky it is. I'm sure you guys have noticed one thing, and that it's not a physical Zekrom. It's not a physical Zekrom. It's a special Zekrom. So we're using a weakness policy, special Zekrom, and it freaking cooks, man. Holy moly, this thing cooks. Protect Earth Power, Rising Voltage, which turns into a 140 base max move, and Draco. Yeah, and Defense Natured. The reason it's Defense Natured, I'm going to show all these calcs on Patreon when I do make the official review post. But basically, that's all the defense you really need to make it so Behemoth Blade from Zacian is a 4 KO. 4 KO. I could just eat the Behemoth Blades like a champ. I can just eat the P-Blades like a champ. Yeah, Special Zekrom's really good. I think the difference between my Special Zekrom and a lot of the other ones is it's not even fully special attack investment. This thing has a 120 base special attack. Seriously, that's only like 20 points better than Flygon. And we're still making it work. Like, a Flygon can have more special attack than our Zekrom has. But the good thing about Special Zekrom is that people don't really expect is the Earth Power, which regular Zekrom doesn't get Earthquake. So you're able to really punish things with Earth Power. And when you lead Zekrom Comfey against things, people really go for Mass Intimidate spams. They put up Reflex, put up Will-O-Wisps, Wormwinds. This Zekrom doesn't care, at all. You have to actually look at this team, which is Zekrom Entei, and be like, cool, I'm gonna put up Light Screen. Who would do that, right? Which is why it's really nice. So, yeah, a lot of good stuff from this Zekrom set. I like it a lot. Up next is going to be the Comfey. And, so you actually say you wonder how many Zacian's going to die to Max Quake. It's actually more damage with Zekrom to go for Rising Voltage than Max Quake against Zacians. The Max Quake is there because it's really, really nice. But, if the terrain's already up, it's always more damage to go for Rising Voltage or a Max Lightning. It's a 183 versus a 180. Anyways. So, yeah, Comfey set, Protect, no Ally Switch. No Ally Switch. I don't need it. I would much rather have my Protect. We're using a Sash Comfey. EV spread is pretty split. And it's good EV spread. I dig it a lot. Sash Comfey, pretty nice. Here's the Bronzong. So you're starting to see how the team works. So I talked about how Zard's really bulky, but it has the ability to Tailwind and do stuff. The Bronzong is a Trick Room set with Bulldoze to activate the Zekrom policy. And this one has Ally Switch because, like I said, it covers the Zekrom so well. Our EV spread is heavy specialty. That's why this thing can actually live. It lives a Mystic Water Rain boosted Ogre Spout. So if I ever have to fight Ogre, I just lead Zekrom Bronzong, soak the Spout, good to go. And it's Mental Herb. So we're using Mental Herb on our Bronzong. So if you have Tornadus like Tonsilus, we're fine. Really, really good. I like this Bronzong set. I like it quite a bit. But Bronzong's so good. Think about the meta. Zacian, Ice Rider, Solgaleo, Metagross. Bronzong doesn't give a shit about what people are thinking they're going to do. So Bronzong's really, really nice. Up next is the Entei. And this was originally 4 different Pokemon, but I really like the Entei. So I like the Entei set. It has extreme speed if I need to break sashes. Snarl's really good in the Shadow Rider matchup, especially. Stone Edge is good against other Zards. Ho-Oh, which can sometimes be a problem because if they get rid of our Zekrom, we really struggle with fire types. So this also helps deal with Incin, and Sacred Fire is just really, really good. Is Special Zekrom than Physical, or is it just more expected? It's a little bit of both. I would say Special Zekrom's better than Physical because in a meta, my team doesn't have any Defiant Mons or Competitive Mons. So they can just spam Intimidate on me, And if you were to talk about a Zekrom coming pre-built with an Intimidate, it's better to be special, right? Because you're always going to be intimidated on the Zekrom. And think about the move that we're trying to get a policy proc up a lot of the time. It's Wormwind, which is also lowering our attack more. So it's better to be special. But yeah, this Entei set's really, really nice. It's bulky. Behemoth Blades, I think a 4 KO. Maybe even 5. I did the calc. And it still has enough attack to Oko Zacian with the Sacred Fire. So it's really good. It's a really good Entei spread. This is a Trick Room team, guys. For those of you guys that can't tell, this is a Trick Room team. It has a Tailwind option in case, like, you know, they're not going to set anything. But really, really cool set on this Entei. And we're vested, if you guys couldn't tell. So big defense investment on this Entei. Very, very bulky. So hopefully you guys liked a little bit of a rundown. Like I said, I'm going to be making a full post on Patreon where I talk about all the calcs. All these EVs are, other than the whim somehow, are very, very intricate with how much investment each of these mons have in all their points. So it's actually pretty important. They live a lot of very specific things. And this is probably the first tournament that I've really, 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 really tried at since, like, well, let me think about it. I put a lot of work into this one. I think the last time I really tried this hard was probably Worlds 2017. Didn't really try that much in 2019. Maybe Knoxville Regionals I tried kind of hard. But then I used a different team like the day before. So like all my testing was garbage. And I almost used a different team instead of this one, but I decided to go with it. The Appleton team wasn't as much testing. I don't think the Appleton team had nearly as much testing. So how come we're in Blaze War Solar Power? Because we don't want to take damage because our Zard's a wall. Our Zard is literally like a late game like wall. And the reason we're using a Charizard here is because it completely changes. Let's go back out. What do you think this team does, right? You think this team is going to set Tailwind, set Sunny Day? I asked a lot of different players when I showed them my team. I've actually worked with a lot of different players to make this. I asked them all, like, what do you think I'm leading with? And a lot of them said their second or third options were like Zard Whims, especially because of how I organize it. They think it's Tailwind, they think it's Sunny Day. And the Zard also, instead of like, I could have just cut that Zard for literally like another mon that would have really helped out. Like I could have put like a water type there, that'd been pretty nice. I could have put like a Feeny there or something completely different to help in other matchups. But Zard also gives us a ground immunity, right? So when I have that mid-game situation where like I'm really pinning my Zekrom, I can just switch into Zard to block the max Quake. And then Zard, the illusion of what Zard normally does, scares off a lot of mons. And this Zard just says like, well, now helping hand, I'm going to hit you really hard with what my teammate is. So yeah, I really like what this team does. And I don't want to take any more additional damage. Like, this Zard's not about dealing damage. It's about mitigating it and boosting his teammates. So, like, imagine support Zard with just enough damage to get the damage when you need it. It's really, really nice. Yeah, but this is straight best of 1. I would never play this thing in, like, a best of 3. What score is needed to, like, you know, qualify for Phase 2? I would say you have to have 12 to 15 more wins than losses. Maybe you might even have to have upwards of like the 15, 16 in case your losses that you do have are against people that you have more than 100 points to. So that's really important. So yeah, we're going to talk about how I did. And hopefully you guys are excited. This is going to be a good stream. And so my first game on stream really is going to be against Groudon, right? So this is my second game versus Groudon. And you can see, similar to like some other content creators, I saw Moxie Boosted like tweeting about this. But there's a lot of fairies that like I was not expecting. I've seen a lot of people talk about the research of Togekiss right now. This Sylveon is very problematic in the team preview, and Lele is so much harder to deal with for my team personally than an Indeedee. Like in an Indeedee, I'm like, cool, I'm gonna bring like whatever I want and I don't care. But like Lele deals big damage. So yeah, triple fairy. That's like it's a lot of, well, it's double fairy. It's double fairy from him. He has the Sylveon and the Lele, but yeah. Why is Armor or Lady so bad in this game? She breaks your shovel. I have not seen that. Your team using triple fairy. Wow. So yeah, ice and fairy is everywhere. I agree. I also I'm gonna be talking a little bit about teams that didn't quite make the cut for Players Cup on my Patreon this week, and I have a sick Salamence team. I have a freaking so cool Salamence team that I'll be showing off a little bit. You're running Zekrom team with Double and Tim in Players Cup? Yo, don't fight against any competitive mons. But anyways, yeah, this is the team preview. And so my thoughts going into this were Groudon can be a little bit of a weird matchup. Basically, Groudon has the advantage for Zekrom, but if I can stick one Wormwind onto a Groudon to get an attack drop, I'll be fine. Because I can full healing out of there. I can switch in, and at that point, like mons like Bronzong and Entei can come back and deal good damage against Bronzong. Sorry, against Groudon. Also, if I burn the Groudon, I win the game. That's pretty much how this is gonna go. So we're gonna start things off. You're gonna look at my full team preview. I'm gonna speed this up just a little bit, so you can see I'm going Bronzong Comfey. And I'm still totally thinking right now. I took a lot of time. I wrote notes for all of these. I took a really, really long time. So we're gonna have to watch like my thought process and maybe talking a little bit about my thoughts. And I really do think that Zard is a really good option here. I was thinking about bringing Bronzong because of the ally switch, but I opted to go with Zard in case of the helping hand and the protect, just to wait out Sun in case I really need it. I also think Zard is very, very good at pinning Venusaur late game. I think our bulky Zard set is great against Sylveon. It's great against Lele. So we're going into the first game of the stream here. And remember, like I said, I think this guy was like 1502. So obviously they're not terrible. It looks like they lost their first game. Looks like they won their second game. Looks like this is also their third game. So let's see. What are you gonna lead with? It's Sylveon and Lele. And so right away I'm like, no. Why would you lead Sylveon and Lele? That's so weird. So you can see right off the bat here, Sylveon and Lele. I was thinking something completely different. I thought they were going to go... I expected the Sylveon lead, but I was not expecting the Lele lead. I was really expecting the Groudon. And so my plan was like, hopefully I can... Again, if I can stick one Wormwind. So I'm sitting here, I'm thinking, this is not great. I don't want to get pinned by the... First of all, I want to take away that terrain so I can start activating my Rising Voltage, just do big damage against the Leles. I also don't want to get yawned by the Sylveon, right? It would really suck if I went for like a big attack this turn, and then, you know, when I want to go for my Rising Voltage, they go for like, you know, Rising Voltage to cancel out the potential yawn from the Sylveon, they switch in their Groudon, and I'm just big sad. So, it's a rough spot right now. It's a rough spot to be in. I will say, I also kind of want a TR, but like, I don't want to TR myself, and I'm like, what if that's a spec Sylveon? There's so many different things can happen. And so right now, I'm really thinking like what I want to do. Should I just protect and bait to see what they're actually going for? Should I try and set TR? I'm really thinking about it, but I've decided to go with the Max Lightning because I really want to take away that terrain. And I think I just policy proc and go for the big damage and hope they don't switch in their Groudon, right? And I've decided to go after the Lele because the Sylveon... I don't really respect Sylveon as much. You don't really see spec Sylveon. There wasn't a way for this guy to actually increase the Sylveon's speed. For the most part, there wasn't really like a Trick Room setter on the team. There wasn't like a Tailwind Mon. So I actually am making more of a meta call and saying I have an Entei in the back that can deal with your Sylveon. I have a Charizard in the back that can deal with your Sylveon. Lele is the Pokemon that can deal big damage against those. So I'm going to try and get the Lele off the board. And of course, you guys know what's going to happen. It's the first turn against Players Cup, and I'm a professional streamer. So of course they're going to go against Ally Switch against me. My first turn of this whole thing... Of me recording my games, Ally Switch turn 1, and this is a bulky boy. That's a bulky Sylveon. Things aren't great for me. Wasting my max turns. I'm gonna take a lot of damage. Like, oh, this is not a good look, right? This is not a good look. But I did take away the terrain. It cost me half my health, a max turn. I'm in a not so great spot. But I'm thinking here, like, now what? Is he gonna switch the Groudon in now so we can then bring the Lele back out to change the terrain? And also, one thing to note that's pretty important, I am at +2. So if I can stick any damage on a Groudon that is switching in, right, he's going to be able to max off a much, much lower base HP health pool. He doesn't have a Comfey to restore his health. So I'm looking at this, and I think I go for an Earth Power here. We are weakness policy on Zekrom. I procced it. I procced the policy. That was a weakness policy proc. This Zekrom has very unique EVs to be able to KO mons with super effective moves. Sylveon is built different, right? Like, it's built different. So he's switching out the Sylveon here for the Groudon, expecting me to probably go for a second one of those. I really thought the Lele was going to switch out here. Yeah, we proc with Comfey Draining Kiss. That's exactly what we do. So the Groudon is active. We've seen 3 of their mons, and you can see it right there. I decided to try and finish off the Sylveon with the Draining Kiss, just because I thought that might be the right play. I'm keeping him honest right now. I'm playing it completely honest right now. He goes for a Moonblast. This is not looking good for our hero. Also, I get a special attack drop. So I've been Ally Switch turn 1. I've been outplayed with the correct switch. It's not looking good. But you know what is looking good? We take crits. It's Sashley, which I expected the whole time based off his team preview. I was thinking it's probably like a Lens Venusaur. It's probably Sash Lele. And he's in a great spot. This guy's in an absolutely great spot here. Yeah, I wish I could have let him proc, but I decided to try and, be... With this team, I'm going to say it like this. You need to be aggressive if you're playing Zekrom. And the way to beat Zekrom is to wait out my max turns, which is, it looks like what this guy's doing. So you can see Groudon's relatively at full. My Zekrom is at +1. I'm big sad on this Zekrom right now. I'm very, very big sad. And I have to just switch. I am super pinned. Do you have the anti-trick on Comfey? What is the anti-trick? I don't know what that means. Anyways, we switch in our Zard, which is what I was talking about. So we go for the Draining Kiss. Thank goodness he just bothers his Lele. I mean, I'm going to tell you guys the last mon they have is Venusaur in the situation. So they could have switched in Venusaur, but I respect it. I think he was actually going for an ally switch, and remember, Draining Kiss has more priority. So he goes for the Precipice Blades, which I don't care. I really just don't care. This also, the fact that my Comfey's still alive means you have to bring out your Venusaur. If you bring out the Sylveon, I'll be able to Draining Kiss it and finish it off. So it's actually good for us that Comfey lived there. No 4-0 healing? No, we have 4-0 healing. You just can't out 4-0 heal a freaking P-Blades. Like, we have 4-0 healing. You just can't 4-0 heal a P-Blades. And remember, like I said, Zard tunnels them into, respecting the option of that. So yeah, we do have Trick Room on Comfey. This is not deny Trick Room. If you want to Trick Room me, I would welcome your Trick Room. Like, this is a Trick Room team, guys. This is a Trick Room team. So Zard's going to go for a Protect here. Remember, this guy hasn't maxed yet. He's not maxed yet. Goes for a Sleep Powder. We block those. Remember, there's still an Electric Trend on the board, but Zard is a flying type. So it goes for an Iron Head Comfey, and I was like, Iron Head. That tells me a couple things here. That tells me two things. First of all, that tells me that your Groudon could potentially be vested. Like, why do you have Iron Head? Like, what is the reason for having it? Because we saw P-Blades, and we've seen Iron Head. We haven't seen Protect, so I'm thinking maybe you're vested. The other option is you're bad, right? I don't want to say that you're bad for using Iron Head, but I will say that, like, most of the time, like, Precipice Blades does more damage to a Pokemon than, like, it does. So Precipice Blades is like, you do more damage with Precipice Blades than you with a super effective Iron Head most of the time. The only reason you have Iron Head is if you want to go for Steel Spikes, you're bad, or you're vested. So I'm thinking he's probably vested. So watch this. Watch this. And in that exact situation, it was right to go for the Iron Head because you don't want to miss a P-Blades on the Comfey. I was trying to set Trick Room that turn. Because remember, there's a Chlorophyll boosted Venusaur. I know this is a slow Zard. I'm thinking about it. And I think I'm looking at my Zekrom speed tiering. So I'm making sure which one's faster, and I know that my Entei's faster, so watch this. Watch this play here. This is going to be a pretty good play. Watch this absolute freaking PogChamp play. Yeah, he hasn't used any of his max turns. He has the Sun. He has a full HP on both his Mons, and he's in a great spot for now. Watch what we do. Watch what we do. So remember, I scouted the vest on the Groudon. I scouted the vest. I'm like, okay, he's so vested. That's the only reason why you would have Iron Head. So your moveset's probably like a fire attack. Actually, I'll talk about it like this. Your moveset's probably the fire attack off like Fire Punch, probably Precipice Blades, which we saw, Iron Head. Now, what could be the last What could be the last move? Tell me what you think the last move on that Groudon is. Actually, I want to see you guys leave comments right now. I want to see you guys make a list. What is the last move on a vested Groudon? Tell me what you guys think it is. Rock Slide. Good answer. I think if he had Rock Slide, he would use it last turn. Remember, he went out of his way to use Sleep Powder on the Charizard instead of Rock Slide the turn before. Solar Blade. I don't think Groudon gets Solar Blade. I wish. You guys think it's Rocks? I think that it's not Rocks. And I'm gonna play the way that I'm playing because I think it's a little bit of a different move. And I think Bet Circer 7K agrees with me. So we're switching into Zekrom here. There's just two things. This makes it so we block the Sleep Powder because Zekrom is still grounded. And right now, we're going to roll the dice a little bit. We're going to roll the dice just a little bit. Just a little bit of dice roll. It can't be Substitute because it's vested Groudon. By all accounts that we know, it's vested Groudon. And it can't be Swords Dance because if we think it's vested Groudon. Based off the tells that we've seen. So he goes for the Earth Power in the Entei. So they're respecting Entei. The disrespect on Zard is real. Or is it? You tell me what. You tell me. Max Lightning. Boosted off probably Thunder Punch. Switched in on a Mon that fourths it. And, you know what? Ooh, we take those burns. Oh. That's almost like I play the game. he maxed poorly? I disagree. He completely waited until max was gone and then he maxed. I don't think he maxed poorly at all. And now, remember how I talked about Zard? Remember how I talked about it and said like, man, Zard's so good for this team because it still brings that fire typing that you need. But man, that flying typing is the defensive flying typing is the reason. Yes, this is pre-recorded. I mean, I can pause it. We're commenting my games. Yep, that's what we're doing. I already played these games. 1509, that sucks. Thunder Punch ain't too bad on Groudon. It's good on Groudon because it helps beat Feeny, which is what this team struggles with. So we're going to protect, and the only reason we're protecting Zekrom here is to waste the Venusaur's time because now we're going to try and wait out the sun. So Zekrom's going to protect. Max Quake. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. We take those. And you know what? Now the sun's gone. You got one turn left on your max with a burned Groudon. Right, you got a burned Groudon. One turn left on your max. You don't know anything about my Zekrom, by the way. You have no idea. As far as you know, you actually haven't seen this Zekrom speed tier. You haven't seen any of my Pokemon speed tier because I've protected everything. So you don't know how fast any of my Pokemon are right now. But I know how fast his are. I know how fast his are based off how he's playing and based off his item choices. So I'm just going to decide to go, I think I go for a Heat Wave here because I know that he's going to Thunder Punch me. And I know I got that big berry in the back. He has Thunder Punch instead of Rock Slide. You don't want Rocks on Groudon, by the way, if you're ever a max option, because it takes away your sun. So he's going to go for the Quake here, which is good for him. He's giving us Pedef boost. Zekrom did its job. There's nothing else that it's supposed to realistically do. Thunder Punch over Rock Slide. And now watch us play. Because we've been switching for the past 3 turns of the game, we're in his head rent-free. We're in his head rent-free right now. So we go for a Heat Wave. Remember, he got the Spidef boost, so he's totally fine. He thought I was going to switch in Entei. He Earth-powered there. We take those. We take those all the way to the bank. We're in his head. We're in his head. We send in our Entei, who we know is our fastest Pokemon. It's the fastest Pokemon on our team. And guess what? Groudon's out of max turns. You got Rock Slide and Zekrom. You're not on mine. But yeah, we're in a pretty decent spot here. I'm thinking about it because, like, I don't know, man. There's a bunch of different things that could still happen here. But remember, he doesn't know my item on my Zard. He doesn't know anything about our EVs. And so basically, we're going to just try and close it out with Heat Wave. But let's see what he goes for. Remember, because we know my Zard outspeeds Venusaur, that means Entei also does outspeed Venusaur. But I really don't want to eat a P-Blades from the Groudon. But remember, he is burnt, so I don't care. Max Big wasted? I don't think that it was a waste of a max because he didn't know what was going to happen. Like, he didn't know. It was like I outplayed him. Don't say like he was bad. You can say that the plays that I made were really good, which is exactly what happened. And so we barely missed the KO on the Venusaur, but remember the Venusaur has a really cool item. The Venusaur has a really cool item. Maybe you've heard of it. Maybe you've heard of this Venusaur's item choice. Hi, Ford. And remember, we missed a Heat Wave on Groudon there. That's pretty not great. Pretty not great. But I do still think we're in a great spot. If Max Room and Zekrom lowers someone's attack, they got clear body. Yes, it does. Yes. Because Zekrom has Terra Volt because it's busted. So Sylveon, he still had him on in the back. He still had the Sylveon in the back. So I'm thinking to myself, RNG. We're going to wait one turn. We're going to wait one turn just to let the Groudon tick out a little bit because we don't want him to live. We don't want him to live, and I don't think there's like any wish or shenanigans that happen with the Sylveon. I also don't think Sylveon can like 1v1 our Zard at all. Remember, I also think that's a spec Sylveon. I thought the whole time this was spec Sylveon based off the damage that he dealt to our Zekrom on the first turn. And so we block, I think it was Psyshock. Yeah, Psyshock we block here. So it confirms the specs here. And so all I gotta do is hit one move. One move that missed on the Groudon already. Right? We missed on this Groudon with one Heat Wave already. But if we hit this Heat Wave, we eat the Thunder Punch. The Walkenberry procs. Yo, that's awesome. Walkenberry wins up right now. And we just double Heat Wave and we win. And then we win. Well, we win next turn. Because he takes Burn here and then we just protect. So you can see how weak this Zard is. It's not strong. It's a wall. We use Zard for defensive typing mostly only. And then we just go for Protect. And then Helping Hand. And then we win next turn. But remember how badly we got bodied off the first start of that game, right? We got bodied. And we had to massively outplay from a huge deficit to win that one. And I think that's a really good game to just show off, like, how much like thought you can actually put into a team, and then playing to your outs. That's a perfectly good example of playing to your outs, not giving up. And we're going into the next game. This guy's ranked 1466. But yeah, that last game, like, they completely outplayed us off the start of that game. They wasted all of our max turns. We had to switch out our Maxmon that had a policy proc, and we had to risk it all for a Sacred Fire, which we did get. And then we were just in a really good spot. So yeah, we take those. So you can see this guy's team is right here. So look at this. Look at this guy's team. He doesn't have a restricted. Sometimes that happens. You know, sometimes at the very start of a Players' Cup, you're going to fight people that don't have restricteds. And, you know, in my Patreon coaching sessions, and the way I generally like to play is if you're playing in a restricted format and you have a restricted and they don't, basically what you want to do is just bully them with your restricted. Because I have one of these Pokemon that has a lot of stats and you don't. But I definitely still respected their options. I really thought about leading like Entei and doing my best to like play around the fact that like Rillaboom could fake out. I didn't want to get TR'd by like Hatterene and then getting set up for Gmax Spites. So I still play this correctly. I think I end up going like Comfey Zekrom. Yeah, we go Comfey Zekrom, and then we go Wims, because Wims is really, really good versus Dracovish in the late game. They have Tapu Bulu. Tapu Bulu ends up being like the perfect counter to Zekrom, but it's funny. Yo, thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. It's always awesome to see me go hard. Yeah, we're playing real serious for this tournament. We're playing serious. We're trying our best to win. Oh, we got to go 3-0. We're 3-0. Sorry. We got to change the thing. We're 3-0. Record 3-0. Undefeated right now. Right? So he leads Urshifu, Rillaboom. And this is where you're going to like start to see a little bit of a pattern with this team. To where like I think we max. You're going to max a lot on the first turn. You pretty much play Zekrom like the biggest bully. Zekrom doesn't like to share the board with any opposing Pokemon. He likes to be the biggest thing on the board at all times. So I am still giving this guy a ton of respect. You can see I'm actually taking a lot longer than I normally would if I was streaming. I'm really thinking out my move choices. We're really, really safe here with the Comfey because Comfey outspeeds Rillaboom's Fake Out. So if you did want to go Fake Out with Rillaboom, Comfey's Draining Kiss would outspeed that. So I'd still get my proc. And if it is like Sash Urshifu or something, we'd be able to finish him off with Comfey next turn. So we're going Big Zekrom. Big Zekrom. Of course. And it feels like such a... I just love the way Zekrom looks. Like, I feel like it's so rewarding to just use a Dynamax Zekrom. Something about it. I've never really used one before. I did all my testing for this team on Showdown, and I just remember thinking, like, man, Zekrom is just freaking cool. And then we see the max Rillaboom. I'm thinking, like, maybe he'll max Quake. That'll do about 30% to our Zekrom because we're so thick. I don't really care how much damage he thinks he's going to be doing here. But we go for the Draining Kiss. We self-policy proc. And I just want to say that we can't one-shot Urshifu Dark because we're like special attack reduced nature on our Draining Kiss. We can do about we can do about 60% to Urshifu. We have just enough investment to KO Urshifu if they have a close combat drop. So we're just going to go for the Lax Lightning. And if it KOs, it KOs. If it doesn't, because our Sash, we would have been fine. We would have finished off next turn. But we set our terrain, right? We set our terrain. We take out their Urshifu. Tell Zekrom that Homus is Gen 7 partner. Yo, I'm using Entei Zekrom. If that's not like a throwback to what like Ho-Oh Zekrom was, I don't know what is. So, and we take damage from our Comfey onto this slot, and it doesn't really matter. Like Comfey's dummy thick, so we're fine. And again, I apologize for having to show you guys like a game that doesn't really have a restricted in it, but I do want to say like you should treat every single opponent with like respect. Just because this guy was, I think it was like 1490, which means he looks like he had one loss. You can see we're still going to treat them with respect by how we play here. We didn't see the Sash on Urshifu, which means they still have their Sash available. And that's another reason why we went for the Max Lightning, is because I didn't know if they were going to max Gorilla, but I wanted to set my terrain so I could have the biggest, strongest attack to deal with Hatterene, because Hatterene is the threat. We don't want to get Trick Roomed by Hatterene, and then just like crit out by like D-Gleams or stuff like that. So I go for a Draining Crest to break potential Sash. And Lightning comes in, boosted by the terrain, and finishes off the Hatterene. We're just ignoring the Rilla for now. We're just ignoring it. Zekrom was always my favorite too, since I saw it back in the early, either late 2010 or early 2011. I like Zekrom. I always liked Reshiram more, and I tested Reshiram and Palkia for this team. But I do feel that like Zekrom is in a really good spot in the meta right now. Yeah, Charizard and Entei fused together to become Ho-Oh. So you can see I'm thinking about sending my Entei. I really can pin the, yeah, I'll pause that. I'm sending out my Whimsicott, and I think Whimsicott's a really good choice here. Because we don't know if their last mon's Dracovish. I have a feeling if they had Dracovish, they might have sent it out last term. But we are respecting Dracovish, and we know we have Entei to deal with that Rillaboom if we do need it. We see the Bulu. So Bulu, I realized, like, right now, I'm like, damn, like, Bulu's, like, really good versus Zekrom. I have to, like, Earth Power it. Who would have thought that Bulu would have been the champion of the sun to wall our restricted mon? I should have, when I made my list of all the restricted mons, I thought I should have put Bulu down as one of them. But yeah, at this point, basically, we just go after the Rillaboom, and then we're fine. But we're still giving him the respect he deserves. Saving the Entei for the back is really, really smart in this exact matchup. And there we go. D-Gleam just to do some nice chip damage. Love this Whimsicott set. Wyrmwind's up. Big damage from Zekrom. Oh my gosh, see, that's what I'm talking about. Like, this Zekrom, it doesn't even need full special attack investment. It KOs the things that it needs to KO, and it has fun doing it. So, G-Max Rillaboom goes down. Bulu can do literally whatever it wants. I mean, he didn't have grassy terrain on his Rillaboom. Goes for the Mega Horn. It's actually going to self-eject me out. And we just bring an Entei for here and we win the game. And I will say that like no one actually used like the DC trick against me. Bulu with no player up. Doesn't need it anyways. Zekrom dummy thick. Could care less. We have Entei. We had Zekrom. And we already know that we outspeed the Bulu. And we see leftovers on the Bulu. So he's like dummy thick. He's like dummy thick Bulu with the wall potential. Yeah, this guy is obviously using, like, I'm not going to say it's an in-game team, but it's just not a team that's, like, made for the meta. So, like, you do fight that every once in a while in the Players' Cup. And I always take these. Like, we totally take these. Tapu Thick Wooloo. Tapu Thick Woo, that's right. So, Sacrifice comes in, we bust him. Boom! Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, Focus Sash Overgrow. I mean, he wasn't... Actually, he might have been sashed. We used Whims, so he could have been sashed. But yeah, very, very easy game. Let's update the wins counter. 100% win rate right now. 100% win rate. 100% win rate. We got another Groudon team. So going into this, like I said, I was really surprised to see Togekiss. Because Togekiss, remember, when you're playing against Groudon with Zekrom, the number one thing that you can do to win the game is to stick a Wyrmwind onto the Groudon. You stick the Wyrmwind or get some sort of like attack drop onto the Groudon, he's not going to be able to deal with your Zekrom. And I do think that like the only reason we won the last Groudon match was because, you know, he was vested Groudon. And so I'm not going to expect to get that lucky again, but I do want to respect the Groudon, and it's really hard to respect Groudon when you have Togekiss. So let's go into this. How many games did I play? I played all 15. Solgaleo is good. My first match I played against Solgaleo. So I'm actually thinking about it. I think I want to Trick Room this. And I think it's really weird to want to Trick Room this. Because like there is like a Dusclops T-Tar aspect of this team. God, Charmeleon. Lamau. That's funny. But yeah, you can see I'm actually mixing this one up. I do decide to go Bronzong Zekrom in this game. And I love Bronzong here. Because Bronzong can... deal with T-Tar. I don't actually know if I lock in the Bronzong. I think I might actually go back because I'm taking a long time in this stream preview. Remember, I'm, what is my record? Am I 4-0? I'm 4-0. Yeah, I do lock it in. And so that means I'm going to start fighting better players. This guy's a GP player. And Bronzong could be kind of good if I get my TR up. And again, if they want to go like Big Zard, I just switch in like Entei, block that damage, punish the Zard. If they want to go like Venusaur, go for Sleep Powders, I can just ally switch. If they want to go Big Groudon, I can go Protect, Trick Room. And then next turn, Bulldoze, Self-Policy Proc, one-shot the Groudon with a max Wyrmwind. Or at the very least, just stick the Wyrmwind if they decide to max themselves, or I have the ability to ally switch. I really like that, you know, I feel very in control of Groudon matchups a lot of the time, even though it's very hard, but I'd much rather fight like Groudons than like any of the Calyrex forms. So we see Dusclops Groudon, which kind of tells me that like maybe this is what is it? That maybe this might be like a Trick Room Groudon. There's no real way to like policy proc it, so I'm still confused. I'm thinking maybe he doesn't understand what my team does. Maybe like if I set TR, he'll try and go for a Will-O-Wisp in my Zekrom, which would be really nice for me. I do like that Groudon is already on the board. I just am really, really afraid of Togekiss switching into Baka Wyrmwind. So I'm thinking about it. I think I am going to go for the Trick Room. And I think we go for the Wyrmwind onto the Groudon. Yeah, we're trying our absolute best here. Trying our absolute best. And so thank goodness no Togekiss switch-ins happen, because getting one attack drop on the Groudon. Is Bronzong out of terrains? Bronzong has no terrain because it's Levitate. So I can do whatever with Bronzong, it doesn't matter. And so I'm thinking that I probably outspeed this Groudon right now. Like, I'm setting Trick Room, but I don't know if he's going to protect. I have no clue what this guy's doing, but I know that he can't one-shot me. And so if I stick this, I'll be fine, because next turn I can ally switch. He's going for a Helping Hand. Like, I'm big scared right now. Big scared. He freaking outspeeds my Zekrom. Freaking Heat Crashes me. So if I would have ally switched, I would have won the game. Straight up, game would have been over. Heat Crash. Like, what? What? Helping Hand Heat Crash. Never lucky, but one cool thing about Heat Crash is it's not a max move. So that means, look how weak your Groudon is, which is going to be really important. So right here is where I've decided I've won the game. I've stuck that damage into the Groudon. If you ever want to max that thing, it's useless. If you ever max it, it's garbage. I don't have to respect it anymore. I decided to go into, I think I go Charizard. Yeah, because Charizard probably outspeeds that Groudon since he's so bulky. And I'm like, if you want to punish the Zard, like you're going to start taking a lot of damage from the Zekrom, like I'm in a good spot. We just go for the Heat Wave. You may think this is like a disrespect, but it really isn't a disrespect. I'm really thinking about Max Lightning I was thinking about Max Lightning the Dusclops, but yeah, we'll see. He switches out the Groudon, which is completely fine. It's completely fine. Like, because remember, there is a Trick Room up, and he knows the outspeeds me. So, like, oh, sorry, yeah. There's a Trick Room up. We're in a great spot, and I really like that I decided to go with a Wyrmwind here to catch the T-Tar, which we baited into bringing out with our Zard. If I would have brought Entei, I don't think there would have been as much of a derogatory, like, idea to bring out the T-Tar, but Zard immediately says, yo, bring out your T-Tar. I got a Charizard waiting for it. And I do know that since we're so bulky on our Zard, if I stick a Wyrmwind into this slot, and if you go for a Trick Room with my Trick Room here, I still think we're fine. We just want to stick damage into the Dusclops while also still dealing the attack drop to the T-Tar. So he was for the Trick Room with my Trick Room. So wasn't pain splitting that turn. Remember, I outspeed the Dusclops right here. I think I take this last turn. I still think I Wyrmwind here. At this point, I don't think he has Togekiss. I think he would have switched out for Togekiss last turn to block like a potential Earth Power or even like a Wyrmwind in the Groudon slot. So I'm definitely thinking that he does not have Togekiss. And so I think you just get a second attack drop into the T-Tar slot, which means if you're going to max your T-Tar, it's just an abysmal max option. And we're probably going to be fine with Entei in the back because you're going to be at -2. So just for a Helping Hand, a second Helping Hand, that's totally fine. Pain splits pain, we take it out. And so I think the one thing that people can get from watching these replays, I don't want to say I'm making it look easy, but I'm really like analyzing the options that our opponents have 2 to 3 turns ahead of like what is actually happening here. And I think everyone should really be like that on top of it when it comes to playing your own games. We take out the Dusclops here. He had absolutely no chance. And you're gonna see something cool in like a little bit. So remember, he hasn't maxed yet. And this is where I was talking to my Discord about like people tunneling a little bit too much when they play Groudon. They should just max their Groudon early. They never do, and then they get punished. But yeah, we blocked the damage there. Zard's dummy thick. His His T-Tar is at -2 attack. But now his Groudon comes back. He's like, yo, Groudon, it's time. Time for me. Remember, I don't have a policy proc either on my Zek. I have no policy proc. I haven't taken the damage yet. So I'm still sitting at neutral. I'm big sad. But watch this Savage play. Watch it. It's gonna be nice. I'm thinking about it. I'm like, wait. He's gonna max that Groudon like an idiot. He's gonna max the Groudon like an idiot. But you know why he's maxing the Groudon, right? You know why he's maxing the Groudon. There's a reason he's maxing the Groudon. It's because his T-Tar's at -2, right? Any smart person here would just take their T-Tar out, bring in another Pokemon, max the T-Tar after win the game. That's how you do it. But you max your Groudon, which I said was hot garbage because it took so much damage earlier, I mean, that's on you, my guy. That one's on you. You can for Roxal all you want, but remember, you're -2, so like, I don't care. Do not care at all. Meteors up. Value. We take those. That's the we take those. Dumpster. Like how you get a lead and never let go of it. Well, it's hard. It's hard to play that much. It's hard to play that much control, right? It's hard. And you can get punished for trying to be a little bit too aggressive. I also get rewarded with a burn there. But you can get punished for people like playing patiently. You definitely can. And that's why I didn't want to show any of this stuff before I played my games. Charizard overcoming rocks. That's correct. And you bring out their Zard. And I'm like, bro, I got a Zekrom. It's like, Lamau Zekrom. I don't want to proc the T-Tar policy. I think that's how you lose. So, like, in this situation, I think we just wait out what he's going for. Let the solar power that he set. Remember solar power? That thing that, like, he has and I don't? That I'd be dead by now, by the way. My Charizard would be dead if I had solar power. I'm just chilling. Like, I'm just big chilling here. I'm thinking... I think we just leave the Zekrom in. Because I thought about switching in the Entei, and I did not want to get crit by Rock Slide. So I was like, I'll just chill in here, I think. I think we just go for a Rising Voltage into the Zard slot this turn, yeah. How can I win a predict like this? It's not predictions. It's conditioning. There's difference. These predictions like, oh man, if they do this, that'd be great. Conditioning is you have to do this thing because of XYZ factors. Their T-Tar was at -2, right? So they're not going to max it, which means they were maxing the Groudon. If they didn't max the Groudon, cool. I still killed your Groudon. You can bring out your Zard, but like max Zard doesn't do anything to his Zekrom anyways. I just put the Zekrom, bring out Zekrom, I win the game. So it's not like a prediction. It's conditioning. And so, yeah, we just take that, bring in the Entei, and then Lamau, it's like Entei. Entei's the best around. And I still don't want to proc the T-Tar policy, so I think we just go for a Stone Edge on the Zard. And we go for, I think we're still just Dracoing the T-Tar, because, like, I don't care. You don't want to Earth Power it, because, like, first of all, it's not strong. He goes for a Slide, he's going for the big flinches. But, and remember, the reason why that Groudon, all that happened with that Groudon is he set TR on me. You remember that, right? I don't think I went actually over that in enough detail. He's the one that Trick Roomed me. He Trick Roomed with the Dusclops. After showing that his Groudon was faster. Like, I don't think I actually went over how important that was. He thought he'd be, like, outspeeding my Zard. And then he thought my Zard and Zekrom, like, outsped his whole, like, T-Tar board, which it doesn't. Right? So he set, like, TR for me. Which is why I won. And then we just win. We don't want to throw. I thought about saving, like, not revealing too much information, but, like, I'm okay. Do you think we'll get normal G-Up series? I don't think so. Sorry, I mean, we ate a Rock Slide. That's a win up. That's a win. That's a win up for me. Yeah, if we go back here, like... So he crashed. When we were trying to set TR, we were trying to do it. I'm going to update the win counter. All right. And you can see I stick that, right? And then this turn, he's withdrawing and he sets TR. So it's super important. It's like, okay, your Groudon's like so hot garbage now. He's setting TR to like enable the T-Tar, but like I've stuck 2 attack drops on it. Even if you wanted to like do something different, like we would have been still fine. Bronzong did its job. Bronzong did its job. That's right. Let's go into the next one. Yeah, he set TR for me. It's like you're trapped in this trick room. It's like I'm not trapped. You're trapped with me. All right, so we're going up against. You already saw the team. So I don't remember if we win this one. We're going to be 1473, which is like he had a hard loss. Blacephalon Cole, right? Zacian Dragonite Urshifu. This guy really wants to make that Cole work, right? This guy really wants to play Cole. And so I'm like, okay, this is my first time playing Zacian. I fought a lot of Groudons already. So I'm thinking about this. I actually have a decent way to deal with most cold pull teams. You just lead Wims. You've seen me do it on stream before. If you lead Wims, you just switcheroo the eject button onto their max and you win the game. And I'll show you how this one works out. Because this is a pretty funny game. This is actually a really, really funny game. And there's a lot to learn in this one. So I'm thinking what I want in the back. I usually bring Entei. And then I'm really thinking about Comfey or Bronzong, because I don't know if I want Comfey or Bronzong. I think I decided to go with the Comfey here, which is a good choice if I do. Yeah, I go with the Comfey. What is the most disappointing restricted Pokemon VGC? Zygarde. No, Necrozma. I'm using a regular Necrozma in a little bit. Was it Comfey? Not Comfey. Cottony, whatever that Pokemon is, the little dust cloud. That thing's pretty disappointing. But yeah, we're going to this game. So watch what happens here. He's going to lead with, he can lead with Dragonite, Urshifu, or Blacephalon, right? And this is my lead. So I'm looking at this right here, and we don't know what the item is on Blacephalon. I'm assuming it's Scarfed. And I will say that my Zekrom, even if I pop Tailwind and just hit him, it doesn't like get rid of, it doesn't outspeed Scarf Blacephalon. I've already done that calc. So I know for a fact I can't outspeed this Blacephalon. There's nothing I can do about it. So the best play we're going to do, we're actually still maxing. And the reason we are maxing here is because we want to be able to pin the... If Zacian switched in there, he would lose it. And Zacian, I could totally see Zacian switching in there. I could see them playing Protect Cole, Hard Switch and Zacian, and have like a really, really big bully board where they fished for a policy proc on the Cole and then got the Zacian with potential player to pin my Zekrom. I could totally see that happening. Because a regular Zekrom would just be able to Tailwind here and win the game. But watch what happens. Watch what happens. I also didn't want to eat a Mind Blown on my not max mode. That's another reason why I like maxing here. It was unfortunate, but it happens. So watch what happens here. Watch how this one goes down. There's going to be a wrench in my plan. I'm sure you can see the wrench is that they're not maxing. They didn't max. They just didn't. So that sucks. And I take a Power Herb. I take a Power Herb. No policy. So what that tells me right there is that it's policy Dragonite, right? Where it's policy. Like, that's weird, right? Policy, has to be policy Dragonite. Has to be, right? Totally has to be policy Dragonite. Like, what other reason? That's going to heavily influence how I want to play. I think Dragonite, like a bulky policy Dragonite with Zacian is super, super nice. He didn't max, though. And I lost my Whimsicott. We pretty much traded a max turn, some health my Zekrom, and 1-for-1. But now we see the Zacian, and I'm like, okay. Now I see what you're working with. We're gonna be able to take out the. I should have just quaked that Coalossal. That would have been funny because like he would have switched him in there and died. But it's okay. We take him out here. It's not like Quake's really like that important in this matchup. But like, there's no special attackers is what I mean. But like other than the Cole, but we're fine. Also, if you did want to protect Cole and do that sort of like switch and Zacian play, would be a +1 in case you wanted to go for it next turn. But yeah, I think we bring out Comfey here. But this is not a good spot. I've wasted a max turn. I've taken some health. I don't like this. I don't have a policy proc. Do I bring Entei out here? Oh man, I know what I'm doing. I remember this. I don't remember which one I bring out, but I remember how this game ends. So, Comfey decides to come out. This is the right choice because I still need to proc my policy. And remember, Zekrom has Terravolt, so like I don't care if you bring out your Dragonite, which I think is coming out here. And then it's not. It's regular Dark Urshifu, which I really wasn't expecting. That's one of the reasons why I didn't bring out Entei, was because I was really afraid of Water Urshifu. So I'm looking at this and thinking to myself, a Trick Room would be really nice here. But so would just killing the Zekrom. Just KOing the Zacian would be really nice. So I think we Trick Room here, though. I do think that we Trick Room, because remember, the last mon on our team is still Entei, which we do need to play. I don't remember exactly what happens here. Yeah, we go for the... Do we Wormwind that Urshifu? What an absolute PogChamp I am. Oh, that's such a good play. See, the ability to, like, switch it up, it's so good. So he's protecting, which also, good for him. That's smart. We're able to go for... We see sub Zacian. What a weird game, right? Remember, he still has Cole in the back. So we go for a Wormwind here. We were trying to get the Zacian to be -1, similar to the way we like to play against Groudon. But the sub is going to block that. So he's playing it super, super well. I have one more turn of max. But also, I'm really trying to, like, mitigate. If you did decide to max that Urshifu, Urshifu, Wicked Blow always crits, but the max blow doesn't. So right now, if we can really lock away his ability to have a max mon, we're going to be in a great spot. So let's see. Trick Room 4 turns. We take those. And at this point, I think we just start going for Quakes. I don't remember exactly who hit. We don't Oko Urshifu here. Normally, like I said, we do about 60-ish%. But I still think it's worth rolling it. In case he wanted to max, we would have to two-shot that. So we go for this. He doesn't max it again. It's making things scary. He does live with just a little bit. And move our Max Quake to break the Zacian sub. How's your run going? I think it says we're 5-0. Yeah. So we take out the Zacian sub Lamau. It looked like the sub blocked the attack. Yeah, it did. It didn't look. It did. I checked it. That's what I went back to check it. Right? Let's check it. It would have been... Sorry. I'm ruining the game. I'm ruining the game. Let's just check it. It was... Ah, crap. Where did I check that? It was this turn. Cool. I would have checked it like right in this turn somewhere. So it's somewhere right here. I check it. So if we check the Zacian... Oh, you're right. The sub didn't. The sub didn't. My bad. My bad. My bad. Sorry. You're right. I checked it, though. That's what I was talking about. Yeah, I checked it just to make sure. But anyways, you can see what we're doing this turn. We're just trying to hit the Urshifu. You're correct. You're 100% correct. My bad. Yeah, sub doesn't block the Terravolt or the Wormwind drop. But it does drop, like, it does block, like, Intimidates. But I just wanted to check. That's one of those mechanics I always want to make sure of. Anyways, we're attacking this Urshifu slot. And go for the Quake to break the Zacian sub. I could have doubled into the Urshifu. I didn't really want to. I wanted to get that Zacian sub off the board so I can correctly come in with Entei and punish. Because we always can take that. We can take the Urshifu out literally whenever we feel like it. Facing a Gem 1 team, Lamau. Alright, so Wicked Blow pops off. Not going to be doing a ton. Remember, he still hasn't maxed yet. He still totally hasn't maxed. He's waited all of our max turns out, but that Cole isn't super healthy. And, like, we're in a good spot. Snail, how's it going? There's a Behemoth Blade. I think he takes out my Comfey this turn. But you remember what I have in the back, right? You remember what the mon in the back is, right? It's a good one. It's a good one. I think it was much smarter to break the Zacian sub than to get the Urshifu off the board. I could have kept my Comfey alive at 1 because I had Sash. But I really feel like opening up the board for this is really, really smart. Because it also just baits the Urshifu and thinking like he'll be able to stick a Sucker Punch into a non-max Zekrom. Do you ever think just keep using Max Dragon and only exhausting shit with like -3? I don't think it's important. I wanted to catch the Cole. Also, you're not wrong. I don't have a policy proc right now, and I wanted to catch the Cole switching in. Right? I wanted to catch the Cole switching in. Like Zacian, I don't care if Zacian's at -1, -3, -10. I'm literally Entei Zekrom, so like I could care less. I could care less. So E-Speed takes that guy out. So just so we can Sucker Punch our Zekrom. And then he has Coalossal, who he has not maxed yet. He has not maxed it. And you'll see how this goes. Fusion Bolt. What's the difference? So the reason is Rising Voltage is when you're in max mode, it's a 140 max move. So Fusion Bolt sucks. But Rising Voltage is always good. So it's a 140 max move. It doubles damage in the terrain too if they're grounded. So you can see he has Zacian. He has Cole. He's going to max the Cole this turn. And remember, we're using a vested Entei. Our Zekrom, remember, we still got those Spadef boosts too. So like the only way he actually does win this game, I think, is going for big special attacks on Zekrom. But we spent 2 of our max turns using Max Quake. So it gave us 2 special D boosts on our Zekrom, which is the one thing we needed to beat out his Coalossal. Like we're talking about, yeah. Zekrom is level 50. I mean, it sets it to 50. Fusion Bolt's also physical. Yeah, definitely. Anyways, but you see he's maxing the Cole. Great Maximon choice, but we know it doesn't have an item since we already, we don't have to respect a policy here. He goes for a double protect Zacian. Of course, they always go for the double protect. He goes for a Vocalith. You'd think he'd hit the Entei, but he hits the Zekrom, which is actually the right play. He hits the Zekrom because we're at +2 special D. We don't care. Rayquaza Meadows, that's nice. Alright, and so we don't get the KO there, because again, we never got a policy proc, but we are able to kill the Zacian with Sacred Fire. So Zacian goes down, and then it's 2 versus 1. We have Vocalith ticking on us, but like, there's no way you get out of this situation, because it's the last turn of TR, right? TR ends, and then Zekrom, sorry, TR ends next turn. But all we have to do is protect, and actually, if we didn't have those +2 Spadef, we would have been put in a position where if he just max guarded here, he'd be able to wait out our Zekrom, because he'd be able to KO it with the rocks. So the +2 special D was actually super, super important. And we just go for Stone Edge because we're awesome. So we're protecting there just to block the... Again, this is the last turn of Trick Room. And he comes in with the Quake. Wise choice. Super effective, too. We would have been big sad. Right? Would have been big sad. But, you know, because we got those Sped F boosts, we're totally fine. Alright, there's our policy proc we were talking about. There we go. Finally, it's like 10 turns into this game we get a policy proc. And Stone Edge hits, which we didn't even need, but we take those. We definitely take those. And Colo goes down. And we're 6-0. 6-0. So, like, if this was a regional, right? If this was a regional, this means I would have already qualified for top, like, cut. I could just scoop the last two. And a 6-2 after going 6-0 would technically be enough to get into top cut. If it was like a best of 1 regional, which is, you know, a bulk of my Pokemon history is spent going to like best of 1 regionals.